It's really been a good year for Sun International. When you look at back and how the year started with the Omicron variant, I think hotels and resorts had a lot of cancellations. I think as the year progressed, everything came back together, and I think a lot of more people came to our properties, corporates, conferencing all boomed, international towards the end of the year. Look at the casino environment, it really did bounce back strongly. I think it's quite the opposite with Omicron being lifted and the restrictions being lifted. We had quite a nice bounce in January, and then it was pretty resilient for the whole year and performed exceptionally well. A lot of the work we had done in the prior and the costs had improved margin. But I think the real highlight is our SunBet online business, which has shown fantastic growth in all key metrics, in players, in deposits, and top line as well. Still not contributing meaningful to the bottom line, but I think that's the strategy. Grow the top line, grow our sort of customer database, and move forward. SunSlots business also had a very good year. I think proving exceptionally resilient, and I think in a market that was very tough, grew revenue strongly as well as its operating profit.
One of the things that have been probably a recurring theme, at least when we look at some of the other companies who have reported earnings, at least over the past couple of weeks or so, has been the issue of load shedding and the kind of costs that are coming through on that front. And I looked at your diesel costs when it comes to the period that was. You anticipating that to increase, and what are your options in this particular front when it comes to, I suppose, dealing with that impact?
Yeah, when you look, probably about 12 to 14 million a month in diesel costs, and we probably save about 20% of that in electricity. It's a real challenge, but fortunately we don't close, so operations remain open throughout the load shedding. It is having a little bit more impact on our LPM business, but not too significant. So our top line is sort of protected, but obviously on the cost side it's really starting to hurt and not great at all. We have looked at our energy plan. We think it's a combination of a lot of things. Wheeling will do a lot of things. It'll help put more capacity on the grid. It doesn't solve the load shedding problem, but I think the sooner South Africa gets capacity on the grid, we have to do it. I mean, all corporates, and I think we have to invest in that space and put more capacity on the grid, as well as on-site solar. But on-site solar obviously only runs during the day, and it doesn't provide electricity at night. Then with the load shedding, I think you need storage. So we are looking to see whether storage is viable. I think with the cost of diesel and the cost to produce electricity yourselves through diesel is very expensive. So we believe batteries is probably viable now. And in the next few months, we'll be launching a few projects to make sure we can take care of this load shedding crisis.
So let's look at the resorts and hotels. What trends are you seeing there when it comes to, I suppose, probably domestic and international demand?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, I think the year started very slow for international because our borders were closed, if you remember. So international definitely picked up quite significantly. We're almost back at the sort of levels in Cape Town where we were for the international mix. I think we're up to 75%. We were 85 pre-COVID. But when you look at the airlift coming forward, there's a lot more airlift coming on stream. I think there'll be more airlift by the end of this year into Cape Town than there was pre-COVID levels. So international tourism is bouncing back strong. I think with the weaker rand, really we are a destination of choice. Little concerned about the impact of load shedding in people's perception of the country and people's perception of safety. Those are probably the biggest inhibitors. On the local front, people are traveling locally. I think are probably very expensive to travel offshore. Our properties are ideally suited. Our vacation club, Lafika Villas, which we just launched a new additional vacation club at Sun City, is exceptionally well received. Corporates are conferencing. I think we've all been stuck at home on voice calls and video calls, and now people want to get out. So a lot of people are getting out there more, visiting our properties, and it's been fantastic.
What's quite interesting, and I suppose you could school us here for those who are not necessarily in the SunSlots or that side of the business. You mentioned here that you're still engaging with regulators to increase the rollout of LPMs to the 500 LPM positions. What does that entail, and what would the regulators, I suppose, be looking for from your side in order to meet that?
Well, I think the regulators have just been a little bit slow in terms of approving rollouts. So we put applications in for new sites, and then you wait for approval. So getting those approvals, getting Site B licenses, which are larger LPM outlets, getting those approved is taking longer than we'd like. I think some game boards are working hard at it. They're certainly looking to improve their capacity to license and roll out. So really it's just about working with the gaming boards, finding a way to get these things approved quicker.
So when we talk about the SunBet growth potential, especially when you look at the key performance indicators there, what potential are you seeing on that front for growth?
Look, exceptional. I think we look at the online market. I think everything is moving online. So certainly we see a great potential for growth. So the market has grown very strongly over the last few years. Through COVID, online really took off. So as more and more people operate online, the capacity for growth is phenomenal. They're also licensing new products such as slots and live games, and that has obviously driven the growth in the market at this point in time.
Right. When it comes to your hotels, it's quite interesting when you look at some of the refurbishments and the maintenance, etc., and that's quite important. But what's key here for you guys when you look at driving more demand coming through on that end?
Look, I think, Sun City runs at reasonably high occupancy. So if you don't get the product right, you can't charge the rate. So the customer experience is critical. So having the product in the right state and enhances the experience, and having the experience enhanced allows you to drive up rate and demand. And that's critical to making a place like Sun City work. Same thing at Table Bay, keeping the product the right standard, keeping the service levels the right standard is critical. And I think our teams have done an amazing job in achieving this.
In an environment that we found ourselves in with the many, call it, structural issues that South Africa has, how competitive is it out there?
Look, it's very competitive. I mean, I think everyone's after customer money. So, we're out there, and I think we're not really trying to as much drive the top line as look after the experience. I think you look after the customer experience, look after your employees. It's critical. Our employees look after our guests. So we are really focusing on our employees, our guest experience, and ultimately that will make sure our customers choose us and not someone else. So that's how you drive the top line.
In terms of your outlook for the next 6 months or so, what does that look like when you look at both the hotels and resorts business, but also the gaming side? Yeah. Does your target look like you could meet all of those targets?
Look, achieving any strong growth in casino and LPMs is going to be tough. So we have seen pretty good resilience. We're holding up quite nicely. It's not going to be strong growth. We're certainly on the casino top line, but we are resilient. So that's been fantastic. Sunbet, we've mentioned it. We continue to see great growth. The number of customers we have this year compared to last, we're over 109,000 customers last year compared to 33 in the year before. So we start in the year with a much bigger customer base, much better sort of deposit values and all these key attributes. So we do see Sunbet coming to a lot of strong growth. The start of the year on hotels and resorts is going to be phenomenal. When you consider last year Omicron again, so the start's been really good. It will taper off that growth, but we're in high demand. So we've seen a lot of demand for conferencing, a lot of demand for leisure. So our peak period is going to be very busy. Our occupancy are picking up. Vacation Club Lafika is going well. So we're very confident on the hotels and resorts that we're at the right level to offer the customer the right experience.